Hi, and welcome back to the VoiceFirst Roundtable, our one-on-one half-hour interview show, part of VoiceFirst FM. My name is Bradley Metrock. I'm CEO of a company called Score Publishing based in Nashville, Tennessee. We are on episode 3 of our 10-episode season 2 of the VoiceFirst Roundtable, and really pleased to have join us today Suhas Uliyar. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Suhas, say hello.
Perfect.
Thank you for joining us. Tell us who you are. Tell us what you do. Tell us about Oracle. Tell us all of it.
Thank you, Bradley, for having me. It's a pleasure to be on your show. You pronounced my name perfectly, Suhas Uliyar. I'm the Vice President for the Digital Assistant, Artificial Intelligence, and Integration Services at Oracle. And so I'm responsible for the strategy and for the product related to our conversational AI that includes voice interactions.
Cool. So I guess where we'll start is, people hear the name Oracle and they feel like, yeah, they understand some of what you do. I'm sure there's a lot of people at Oracle who don't understand everything of what Oracle does. Share with us, maybe just to start off, what is Oracle's core business, and how does Oracle view voice and conversational AI being able to augment that?
Sure, yeah, everyone knows Oracle as the big database company, and that certainly was a core of what we started with. Oracle's focus is about providing business solutions, right? Adding value to enterprises from their complete end-to-end business automation software process. So when we look at sort of Oracle's stack, Oracle certainly started with the database, but we now, with on-premise customers or customers who are deploying applications on-premise, plus deploying applications on cloud, we provide the entire stack from the infrastructure, or what we call the platform, to applications, and on top of that, sort of these new age innovations that we're adding on top of that. So let me describe sort of from an application perspective what Oracle does, right? So Oracle is a very unique company that for the last, I would say, 30, 40 years, we've been doing, providing application solutions for customers across the range from customer experience or CRM to marketing solutions to customer service to human resource or human capital management to ERP. And we are the only company that has the depth and breadth of every single automated application or automation in the enterprise, right? So you think about going to a customer who wants to do customer experience, so whether that's sales, service, marketing, or employee onboarding to employee recruitment, or your supply chain or ERP, we have other solutions. And so with conversational AI, and this is sort of really what excites me about being at Oracle, right? So my quick background is that I'm a startup kind of a guy. I've been part of innovations from the day we started mobile to now chatbots or conversational AI and augmented and virtual reality, et cetera. So I've always been sort of interested in new experiences, new technology. And when we start getting into artificial intelligence, there are two things that you really need, Bradley, right? What you need is you need a lot of data, right? And you need a lot of compute power. Now, compute power with GPUs, and Oracle has that. But the thing that really excites me about being at Oracle is that we've had over 40 years of enterprise data that we can use to train our models. And this is sort of where we started our AI journey, by adding conversational AI, enabling sort of our customers to be able to interact with enterprise data in new, very innovative ways of using natural language processing. The days sort of, we've sort of seen that evolution from, web-based interfaces to mobile interfaces. And even there, you're never going to find that one person who's really happy about using your interfaces. They're always going to say, well, that interface sucks. So how do you sort of get to the best interface, right? So we believe the best interface is having no interface at all. And the no interface is about using voice and using natural conversations to be able to interact with voice. So a lot there, but this is sort of what makes conversational AI really exciting at Oracle.
Very great description. Thank you for that. How would you characterize Oracle's um, current level of progress. How would you characterize where Oracle is relative to not only where Oracle wants to be, but also relative to maybe some of the things that you're seeing out of the more mainstream voice assistants? Share with us your thoughts on that.
Absolutely. So, our customer base is very enterprise focused, right? So these are large enterprises who are providing solutions or providing automation or software for either their employee base or for their customers, right? So I'll give you an example. We have a very large customer called Hermes Parcel Net based out of Europe, and they provide, parcel delivery services in Europe. And so they're a large Oracle customer using what we call the Oracle Service Cloud for customer service. And they use conversational AI to be, for their consumers to be able to ask questions like, hey, where's my package? Or, hey, when is it going to be delivered? Or what is the status of the delivery guy? Hey, I'm going to be out of home, so can you leave it with that neighbor? What's my proof of delivery? So those kind of sort of conversational interactions with sort of what I would refer to as B2C type consumer applications. And they're seeing something like a 60% deflection, right? So 60% of the conversations don't even hit a human agent in the back end, with the ability to escalate if customers have any need to talk to a human agent or asking questions that the conversational AI or the digital assistant is not trained to do, right? So that's one example. But when you look at sort of the core of our business, it's about sort of enabling employees of an organization to really interact with data, right? And so what has happened is that, with Larry's guidance, and, if you get a chance, you should look at Larry's keynotes for the Open World last year and the year before, where he's talked about how conversational AI is truly the new UI, if you like, for interact with applications. And so the big shift that has happened at Oracle is just the whole rebranding of Oracle and the way sort of the conversational AI pieces are built right into the application itself. Now, why is that important, Bradley, right? If you look at sort of in general, what does it take to build a conversational AI interaction, right? So you need to be able to get all your data, be able to train it, define the dialogue, have a very sort of meaningful dialogue with the user, and then be able to figure out all the use cases where perhaps if the I don't understand what you're saying kind of message coming from any of your VPAs, right? So being able to really sort of understand, well, how do I deal with all the exceptions, right? And how do I provide a seamless user experience? So what Oracle has done is, because we have the subject matter expertise, we've sort of taken the platform that my team builds and have incorporated that into the application itself. So all the utterances, the intents, and all the pieces, the artifacts required for you to build your chatbots, your digital assistant artifacts are built out of the box, right? So now when you turn it on, you literally are able to sort of ask a question and be able to get an answer. And if you don't, we have a very seamless way of passing that to a human agent or an expert who can handle it. Now, where we really tend to differentiate, Bradley, compared to sort of the general sort of consumer market, right? So I mean, if you take a step back, we've had Siri since 2011, and you've seen this explosion with Alexa and Google Home and Google Voice, et cetera, et cetera. And they're all awesome products, right? And really designed for the consumer market. Where we are focused on is really sort of providing this voice-enabled solutions to the enterprise market. And so why is that important, right? So number one, when we talk about enterprise market, a lot of our customers have the first question: where is your data? Where is it going? Who's listening to it? So GDPR, privacy, PII information becomes extremely critical. And we understand how enterprises think and work. So we are able to provide them their data. We don't do anything with their data. We give them their data, and they're able to sort of define how to either remove from a GDPR compliance perspective, or at least have access to their information. That's number one. But the bigger issue we see, or the challenge, is being able to understand enterprise vocabulary. So let me give you a couple of examples, right? So if you ask for a question like, what's the EBITDA for Apple? Or what's the EBITDA for Nordstrom? And I would ask you, Bradley, to try that with Siri or Google or Alexa, and it'll be hilarious to see what they come back with, right? And these are standard financial terms, but very enterprise specific. And so we are able to extend that vocabulary, and it's not something that we have to do. We provide a mechanism for our enterprises to be able to extend the vocabulary. Now, these are what we call domain-specific vocabulary. But there's also customer-specific vocabulary. So as an example, we use an acronym called KAD, Key Account Director, to describe an account manager who is responsible for a particular customer. Now, if I wanted to ask my digital assistant, who's the cat for Walmart, we would want to know a name. Well, you ask that for using Alexa or Siri, you'll probably get cat, card, or Canadian dollars, right? So these are sort of some of the things that makes us very unique in the way, and to be very honest, Bradley, when we started our journey, we of course built out our conversational AI backend part of it minus voice. And our approach when Larry first asked us, what's our strategy for voice? We said, hey, why do we need to reinvent the world? You already have Alexa, you got Siri, you got all of these. So we do integrate with all of that. But hey, there's no need for us to own our own. But over the last couple of years, we realized the challenges with privacy, security, and also extensibility.
Yeah, spot on. And another thing we do, other than the VoiceFirst FM podcast network, is we produce a lot of events. And so, like at the Voice of Money, which we piloted last year in New York City, Alliance Bernstein spoke about why they created Abby, which is their voice assistant, so it could have that control over the data, so they could have that corporate control over the data, but also the control over the vernacular, like the jargon, and be able to influence that in whatever way it needed to go, exactly like what you're talking about now. We've seen the same sort of thing in healthcare, seen the same sort of thing in automotive. There's the verticals have all had their different approaches to their own niche, and it's been interesting to see, and you're describing it exactly, and obviously it's what you've seen. It's interesting to me that on this show and on other shows that we have, This Week in Voice and others, we talked about the fact that Amazon's leadership in the market was important at an important time, and Amazon being a brand associated with being a customer-centric brand, one that they'll run other businesses right on out of business in order to give the customer 1 penny cheaper on their paper towels, or to get the paper towels there 2 hours early or whatever.
Right. And
that has yielded benefits for them, profound benefits in terms of getting people to buy into having this black cylinder sitting on their countertop.
Mm-hmm.
And now, the Echo Show sitting in their kitchen, or these little mini, UFO looking Echo Dots around their house or whatever. And you can just imagine that if that was Facebook leading that charge, people would have said, no, thanks.
Yeah.
And with Oracle, I think a similar thing is you're probably seeing a similar sort of return on the fact that Oracle's name is not bandied about in conflict or controversy. Oracle is this rock solid, this is my perception, I'm sure I'm not alone, this pillar of strength from a corporate partnership standpoint. And I can't help but think that serves you well when looking to partner on the conversational AI side, which is so data centric.
Absolutely. And it really comes down to sort of over the last 40 years, we've really helped customers have, secure operations, right? And really help our centricity is on our customers, right? And their experience and how we enable their business to grow. And so, and I'll tell you the other thing that really is helping us have this further conversations with our customers, pardon the pun there, on conversational AI, is truly understanding sort of, one of the things that we realize with voice is that we tend to get more expressive in the way we interact using voice as opposed to typing stuff, right? We sort of tend to become very sort of, formatted within a certain set of characters to ask a question. But voice brings very natural conversations. And it's one of the things that you should try with sort of Alexa, Siri, right? Which is, you could say, find coffee nearby, but not Starbucks. We're not very popular where I am. I am from Seattle, and but that may not be a way you ask questions, but if I look at the enterprise term, right? So for example, when you look at a sales app, you want to be able to say, hey, show me all my customers who are referenceable in the West Coast. Show me those except for Nordstrom, right? And have follow-up conversations, right? Who are my top 5 customers? And so, when we look at very heavy linguistic constructs like superlatives or negation, these sort of tend to become much more powerful when you have voice as opposed to when you're typing. And sort of just bringing it back to your question about sort of why enterprises sort of trust Oracle is because we tend to sort of really truly understand their business, right? And we try to sort of expand or extend our portfolio to make sure that we're able to solve these critical business problems that they have, as opposed to sort of looking at it more generically and saying, what are we trying to do for the consumer world? So that's sort of what makes Oracle very unique in the enterprise.
Yeah, no, that's excellent. I guess we've covered everything I wanted to cover. I guess what I'll ask you in conclusion, it's exciting to see what you're doing. I feel like I ought to say that. This is going to be a big year for conversational AI and voice technology in the enterprise. I feel that strongly. I know you do, and you're seeing it. But not everybody who watches this or will listen on podcast will have that line of sight, because some are more consumer focused. But the timing is right, and the utility is there.
Yeah.
And you talked about the ability to do these robust queries and to have the language models and the NLP sort of be able to keep up for what a data analyst might need or whoever.
Right.
And really, there's only one company I've seen on the consumer side that can do that, and that's SoundHound. SoundHound's technology can do that as well. The mainstream ones have a lot of problem with that, and they got some catching up to do. So you're in good shape. Let me conclude by asking you, the other thing I think we're going to see a lot this year is a move toward regulation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're going to see, and we've already seen it overseas. They're out in front of us on that in a couple of different markets. What is it that, well, I'll preface this a little bit more by saying it's remarkable how, if you really think about it, these voice assistants, I'm talking on the mainstream consumer side, they are delivery mechanisms for content. That's how a lot of people use them.
Yeah.
And unlike every other type of content that exists, whether it's movies, whether it's music, whether it's books, a lot of times, or magazines, you really have no idea what type of content is about to spew forth from your smart speaker or voice assistant, other than whatever assumptions you make from the brand association of the experience. So if I say, Alexa, play Disney, whatever, you will make assumptions on what content's about to come forth, and you'll be very unpleasantly surprised if there's curse words or something like that.
Right.
Other ones where you don't have much sense of the brand, you don't really know what to expect. And I think that's one area we'll see regulated is some content guidance.
Curation.
Yeah, exactly. Share with me and the audience your thoughts on, from your position with what Oracle's doing from a corporate standpoint, what are you hoping to see and what are you hoping to not see from regulatory efforts?
I think from our perspective, the regulatory efforts are more to do with data privacy and also sort of data governance, as opposed to I would say the quality of content, right? Because we're not sort of streaming, generic content. Our content is very sort of specific to the use case, like ERP or, and so that data is going to be pretty clean, right? Our challenges typically are with, data governance or data residency issues, right? Hey, and also actually another one is data collection, right? So for example, even if, for instance, I was mentioning about being able to extend your vocabulary, right? So extending vocabulary also relates to how do I capture the data? How do I record the data so I can train my models, right? And it's very fascinating that let's say that even if I ask my own employees for sample data, I need to make sure that I actually have a disclosure with them saying that, hey, whatever data you, even for business purposes, for your own day-to-day purpose, is something that we have your permission to use and train, right? So we run into more in terms of, do I have permission to, from the user to use their data? Where is the data being stored? Can I basically go back and clear things like GDPR or PII? I can delete data. And the most important thing in many countries is, can I make sure the data is governed and stays in the data center? So what we've done is sort of, for that, obviously we've opened up data centers in every region where we want to be focused on. Number two is, we do not touch the customer's data at all. And unless we have their explicit permission to use that for our training, we are spending a lot of money ourselves capturing data and having our own data set. As I said, data is the new oil, right? So we're actually doing that. And we also have, as I said, a very unique way that we enable customers to capture data. And there we started providing those disclaimers up front saying, hey, click on this button to make sure that we are getting permission from the user to collect that data, even if it's for their own internal purposes. So we're not sort of, I think there needs to be a lot of regulation, especially as you think about, what kind of content is being spewed and the languages that are being spewed out there, especially when I have my kids around. I don't want them to listen to anything that's going on. But from an enterprise perspective, it's not something that is impacting quite yet, because the data is very curated and in our systems. And so we know what kind of data. Now, one thing that we are doing is, obviously we can't control what the end user says, right? They could be swearing. And so we have controls in place where we can understand emotion. So when people swear, they're either typically angry or something. So we figure out ways where we can handle, but of course we're not, swearing back at them, and making sure that we are putting those controls in place. So that's sort of what I would say about where this is going for us from an enterprise perspective.
Excellent. I've been speaking to Suhas Uliyar, Vice President, Digital Assistant, AI and Integration at Oracle. Suhas, thank you for the time. Thank you for taking the time to share your experience and your expertise with not just me, but the audience as well. It's greatly appreciated.
Bradley, thank you so much for having me. Enjoy the conversations.
For the VoiceFirst Roundtable, Season 2, Episode 3. Thank you for listening, watching if you're watching on YouTube. Until next time.